Well, good morning. I wanted to welcome you to the Worksite Wellness Council of Louisville virtual meeting for May. We appreciate everybody that's joined thus far. We had a long list of reservations or confirmations, so we're excited that these seem to be working out well for everybody. And my name is Matt Schwartz. I'm chair of the Worksite Wellness Council. And on the line with us, we also have our presenter, Sandy Merritt, and then I'm going to actually, at the moment, I'm going to ask Patrice Fife, who's one of our co-chairs of the programming, to just offer a welcome and an introduction to Sandy. What I do want to point out before I do that is there should be a chat box in your screen. So either on your phone, if you're on your phone, touch your phone, and there should be a place where you can find a chat area. Actually, I want to say that let's see here. At least on mine, in the upper part of the there's it's like a little bubble, a little hello type bubble, like from a cartoon. That's what it looks like on my phone. And on your computer, there should be a little drop down or a box that shows that. So that's what I want to encourage you during the presentation. That's the way we're going to allow for kind of some interaction or dialogue. If Sandy asks a question or looks for a response, that's the way we'll do it, just to keep the presentation background noise to a minimum. So. Because I'm going to keep everybody muted. All right, so let's see. Patrice, let me see if I can turn you on. Patrice, you're good to go if you turn your microphone. There you go.
Good morning, everyone. And we are thrilled that you have joined us this morning. And on behalf of the Worksite Wellness Council, thank you for your continued interest and your support. This is Patrice Fife, programming co-chair, along with Annetta Hunter. And today we have with us Sandy Merritt. Sandy is an employee engagement advisor and business coach with ActionCOACH Bluegrass. And today, during our conversations, we will be discussing Reconnect, Reenergize with your team. This is basically about employee engagement in this new era in which we're in. So without further ado, I'd like to present to you Sandy Merritt. Here you go,
Thanks,
Sandy.
Patrice. Thank you. I'm really excited to be here. Employee engagement is something that I feel very passionate about, and it's become even more critical as we've spread out our workforce. So welcome. Glad you're here. I know you've been on a lot of video meetings, so I appreciate you taking the time out to listen to me this morning. So let's get started. I can get my controls to work. There we go. So Engage and Grow is a global program, and we're in 85 countries. We are trying to change the way the world works. And I know that sounds very kind of pie in the sky, but it's a really important concept that people believe in what they do and see value in what they do. And that is a great way to change the world. So what we're going to talk about today, though, is changing your world, not the entire world. So let me introduce myself very quickly. I have been in the corporate world quite a bit, mostly in IT. I've done a lot of work in healthcare administration. Starting in the late 90s, I actually ran a virtual company with about 100 remote employees. So I've got a lot of experience with connecting with remote people. I've also worked in human resources, and having been a business owner, I'm now working as a business coach and an employee engagement advisor. On the personal side, I have two absolutely amazing children. My daughter Diana is in Northern California, and I can't wait to hug her again. My son and his wife are the proud parents of the folks you see in the upper right-hand corner, and we just welcomed a new baby girl at the end of February. So thrilled to be a grandmother. It's one of the things I treasure in life. I love to travel. When I travel, I go to art museums. And no, Apple did not invent this selfie. Artists have been doing that for hundreds of years. So what you see there is my selfie with a selfie. That's me and my buddy Rembrandt. A couple years ago, I was told I needed to take up weight-bearing exercise. My swimming didn't count. So I took up aerial fitness. I go to Suspend in Nulu. And so now my idea of exercise is climbing in the air and hanging upside down. And if you've never tried it, it's a blast. I'm also very involved with 2 local charities, the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation, there's a family connection with that, and the Louisville Skating Academy. And in the bottom right, you see me with Austin, who has autism. I am a volunteer instructor in the adaptive skating program. And I've been doing that for about 15 years, and Austin has been skating with me that whole time. So as far as volunteering goes, it's a phenomenal thing for me to do, and I get to ice skate. So that's real quick about me. So about 6 months ago, we all had this image of what it would be like to work from home. And we'd have a nice desk area, and it would be calm, and it would be quiet. And then COVID-19 happened. And for some of us, this is what work at home really looks like. And no, that is not my cat. My cat is Calypso, and she does tend to pop in on these presentations. So if you see a tail behind my head, that's who it is. For some of you, this might be what work at home looks like. So we've been at this now for a couple of months. So what's going to happen in the future? According to this Gallup poll, when people were asked, when you can go back to the office, what would you like to do? And the majority of people said they want to continue to work remotely, at least part-time. So that 59% number, that kind of startled me a little bit, but that's our new reality. So figuring out how to connect with employees, some in the office, some not in the office, this is something that's not going to go away and something that we need to really address. Things have changed. We've moved into a new paradigm, and it can be a little scary, but it's also creating a lot of opportunities. This is one of those situations where with the bad, we can find the good. Obviously, every one of you is here on a virtual platform. We know how to connect electronically. We've all been on the Zoom meetings. We've done the Hollywood Squares Brady Bunch thing. And so we're connected electronically, but are we connected emotionally? It only takes a few days for a remote employee to feel forgotten. And we're 2 months into this. We've moved into a whole new world. There are a whole lot of people who are managers who are not leaders. Things are changing so fast right now. A lot of old ways of doing things are just falling away. The earth is healing. A lot of people are healing. We've got a lot of people who have lost their jobs or people whose jobs have changed. So people are being forced into change right now. A lot of decisions are going to be made differently. We're going to be looking at things more from a heart perspective than a head perspective. People who maybe weren't thrilled with their jobs are really going to be taking a step back and saying, what is it that I really want to do? What is going to give me purpose in life? And that's a good thing. Unfortunately, right now, things aren't looking so good for a lot of people. 90% of our young workers are struggling right now. They're having a really hard time feeling purposeful, feeling connected, and knowing what to do. Overall, 75% of us feel less connected to other people, to our jobs, to our company. 2/3 of us are not sure about the vision of our company. Those are some pretty big and pretty scary numbers. And the majority of people are finding it hard to get and give status updates. People really are looking for connections to their leaders. However, a lot of leaders aren't sure how to connect. So even though we say check in, if you call and say, oh, I'm just calling to check in, that does not start a conversation. That's kind of like trying to get a teenage boy to talk about something other than girls. You've got to be a lot more direct, a lot more specific, and a lot more personal. Hey, I know your 3 kids are at home. Is everything going okay? Have you been able to find activities with them? Have you been able to get outside and go for a walk with your dog, with your spouse? That's a check-in. So the generic, how you doing? The answer is always going to be, oh, okay. So what exactly is on the employees' minds right now? People are starting to assume the worst. So be as transparent as possible about your business and about their jobs. Make sure that you are asking, what's your current situation? What do you need? People are concerned about their healthcare coverage and what's going to be happening. Our health concerns, we're starting to see some light at the end of the tunnel, but there still are a lot of people living in fear. The isolation is starting to take a toll on mental health. People are asking, why am I doing this job? Does it matter? And am I still important to the company? So making an effort to have that personal connection with each person every day if possible. And it can be brief, but just give people pride in their work. Now more than ever, praise and recognition is going to tell people that they really are valued. When you're talking with your employees, only state facts. If there's something you don't know, be honest and say so. Work together to find an answer. Make sure when you're calling or texting or meeting that there's a reason for it. You don't ever want to let your employees feel that they're out on their own. Address their fears and their concerns. One of the things that we are finding, now that a lot of us are not only parents but teachers, is that maybe 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. isn't the best time for parents to be working. Maybe 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. is better for them. So you're going to need to continue to be flexible on scheduling. I highly recommend using a shared calendar so that all team members know who's available and when. The statistics show that over 50% of people aren't always sure what it is they're supposed to be working on. That number has gone up since we've been working remote. So remote workers need a little more guidance on what to work on. And you're going to have to be very, very specific. Right now, everybody's a little bit distracted. We're all having a hard time concentrating because we're spending so much time in front of these screens. So make sure everybody knows the expectations and also make sure they know they are going to be accountable for the deliverables and for the work that they're doing. Without that accountability piece, you can have all the deadlines in the world. Make sure people know there still are expectations on performance, on timelines, all of those things. Make sure that your team has a sense of purpose. Why do we need to do this project now? What is the end goal here? How are we meeting our customers' needs? As I mentioned earlier, give people pride in their work. If somebody gave great customer service or solved a problem for the team, celebrate it. Celebrate the wins. We really need good news right now. So make sure that you're recognizing every time somebody does something good or great. Now is a good time to invest in your employees. That's something that also sends the message that they're important to your organization. So online training, this is a great time to do it. One of the other things that is really important is have some fun. Make sure that you're interjecting something social in there. What you see up here are a couple of things that I've seen people do. People posting a picture with their pet and have a contest, who looks most like their pet. Not sure if you want to win that one or not. Have people put up pictures of themselves ages 3 to 5 and see who can guess who's who. If you've come up with a great activity for your kids, have a shared space where you can put that up there because somebody else may want those ideas. We are all cooking at home a lot more than we used to. So have a virtual cooking contest. Have people take a picture of what they made for dinner one night. And then everybody gets to vote on which one they want to eat the most. My virtual class on homemade pasta probably wouldn't have been a winner. It tasted a lot better than it looked, though. And one of the other ideas is to have a virtual pizza party. And the way that works is everybody has pizza delivered at the same time. And then you can have your meeting while everybody's eating pizza. There are hundreds of other ideas out there. The important thing is to do something. Make people feel like they are human beings, not just human doings. Because too often, that's how we are starting to feel. So throw some fun in there. Make sure you're checking in and touching your employees, your team members, even cross departments, your peers, periodically. If you think about it, when we worked in a traditional office, many of us started the day by walking into the break room and getting our water, our coffee, or our tea. And that was our time to just kind of chat with the other people who were in there. How are your kids doing? Have you tried any new restaurants? Just those little check-ins lead to casual conversations about the business and really helps you to get to know the people around you. Well, we can't do that right now. And even when we go back into the office, it's going to be different. So if at all possible, maybe have coffee with your employees or tea or water or Diet Mountain Dew, whatever it is in the morning that they drink, and give each person on the call a chance to talk about something that is non-work related. This literally can take just a few minutes. Have people, at ActionCOACH, we call it a whiffle, what I feel like expressing. And maybe it's, if I have to do math homework one more day, I'm going to scream. And then it's out there, the person feels better, everybody laughs, and we can all move on. If you can't do this at the beginning of the day, when you have any kind of a meeting, add a few extra minutes so people can socially interact. It's a small thing, but it really can make a difference. So this is an artist rendering of what an office will look like in the future, in the very near future, actually. So if you take a look at it, is there anything in particular that you notice that is different? Obviously very clean, very modern. I love how bright it is. So on the left, you can see the purpose of those circles on the floor. That's not just a design on the rug. That's literally to show people what the social distancing is. On the right, you can, I don't know how clear that is, but behind that monitor, that is a plexiglass screen. So there is a barrier between people. So even though it's still an open office concept, it is going to be controlled and make people feel safe. So people are still able to very much communicate and interact in this environment, but it's definitely going to be different.
So by the way, Sandy, can you hear me? I just want to make sure we did have a couple comments. Just you know, one, okay. Well, somebody, Leslie was talking about that they have a water cooler moment every Wednesday for 30 minutes to chat about non-work stuff. That was on your last comment. And then the comments about the space, about the distance, and from Tara and David said that, you know, nothing personal. Are they shared desks? Are they all shared desks? So.
And that's something that is going to come up as we don't have everybody in the office at the same time. And I think we are going to have to do some shared desks. What that will look like is each person would still have their own keyboard, their own mouse. I don't know about how the monitors would work. That's going to be a big expense for a lot of people, but you really don't want to take a Clorox wipe to your plasma screen. So we are going to see some shared workspaces. There's no doubt about that. Because if you think of what this size workspace would be a year ago, there were 2 or 3 times the number of desks in there. But based on what we talked about earlier, a lot of people are going to opt to continue to work from home. So they may come in occasionally for a meeting or maybe once a week. What I've done in past companies is I had designated offices for people who were only in the office occasionally. And obviously those are going to need to be sanitized after they have been used. The other thing you notice there is there's no desk phones. So that's something that people are really going to have to think about if it's a shared workspace as well. So yeah, we're going to have to share workspace and we're going to have to figure out the logistics of that. But I really do think a lot of people will only be in the office occasionally. So the other thing that we really have to think about, there's going to be a lot of expense to set up a workspace like this. But I do love the idea of the circles on the floor. I think that's very, very helpful. Now, if I have to look at something on your screen, that's going to be a little bit more of a challenge. So I think you're also going to see people who are in the same space still meeting over something like Zoom or GoToMeeting so that you can share screens. Definitely going to be different. Are there any other comments? Or and I love the water cooler idea. That's wonderful. I didn't know if people still knew what a water cooler was. We're going to see a whole lot more of these hand sanitizing stations. I think they're going to start popping up everywhere. And who knows, instead of a company uniform, we may have branded pajamas. And I'm kind of hoping ours don't look quite like that. But again, things are different. Our new world is just, everything is changing so very quickly. When we first went into this, the main emphasis was getting things set up, managing schedules, working with children at home. Now, we need to be focusing on mental health and team health. We've got the logistics figured out. We've got the VPNs in place. We've got the security. Now we have to focus on the people. Excuse me. The only way companies are going to thrive again is to reconnect with their teams. Leaders need to focus on people. We used to say people first, profit second. Today it needs to be people first, people first, people first, and the profits will come. If you fix the mental health, you will create more wealth. So the influence of leaders right now is paramount to what we are going through. So let's talk about employee engagement. And if we were all in a room together, I would have you throw out ideas, but in the, and if you want to add something to the chat, please do. How do you know when an employee is disengaged? What are their behaviors? Can you think of some of the ways that all of a sudden you see a behavior change? Or maybe there was someone who has never been terribly engaged. So I saw one pop up, yes, they get quiet. They stop contributing at meetings. They don't offer ideas. Maybe they're late to meetings. On the Zoom call, they're not looking at the screen. So I see a lack of work output, definitely. All of a sudden, their productivity drops. They're absent. You don't see them as much. All of these things, you know, they're late with things. Yes, they're late to meetings. They're late with their assignments. All of these things are signs that someone is disengaged. So what about the employee that is engaged? Because I saw withdrawn from coworkers on the disengaged. Absolutely. They stop talking not just to you, but to their coworkers as well. When we flip that, the highly engaged employee, these are the ones that are excited. They look forward to coming to work. They're the contributors. You want to use these people to infect the rest of the organization. Back in March, we were in a really, really tight labor market. You kept people because you needed a body to do that job. Well, that's not the case today. So you have the chance to really choose your A team. You can really focus on the people who are going to move your organization forward. There are a whole lot of really good people who are looking for jobs right now. So this is a chance to scoop them up and get them connected with your organization. I would not have said that in February. So what kinds of things make people the happiest? And feel free to go ahead and put that in the chat too. Now, is it owning that sports car? Is it money, possessions? Thank you, Leslie. She said family. According to a Harvard study, Lisa said having a purpose. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Work-life balance. See, I'm talking to the Worksite Wellness Council. You all know this stuff. This is fabulous. And being connected with people. So that's what the Harvard study showed. What makes people happiest? Being appreciated, absolutely. People want multiple and meaningful relationships where they are respected, where they are appreciated. The more people are heart connected, the happier and more productive they are going to be. So you want to make sure that your best staff stays with you. You really want to avoid the loss of experience and the cost of rehiring and retraining new employees. And yes, I recognize that this slide probably isn't going to happen. I don't know how much of that we'll be doing going forward. So let's be very clear on the levels of engagement and what each of those look like. So at the very bottom, you have your highly disengaged employees. They're the ones who are doing far less than is expected. Some days you wonder why they're in the building. They're the whiners, there's always a problem, and they want you to fix it. The disengaged employees, they come in at 8, they leave at 5. If it's in their job description, they'll do it. If it's not, doesn't even occur to them to try. They're just going through the motions. Your highly engaged employees, they do more than expected. They're the problem solvers. They don't come to you and say, we have a problem. They come to you and say, we have this problem and here's what I'd like to do about it. They're offering the solutions. Those are the people that you want leading your organization. So let's look at some numbers. In the United States, 30% of employees are considered engaged. Now, these numbers, I will tell you, are pre-COVID-19, and they're from Gallup. I will be very interested to see the numbers in a few months. 30% may not seem very high to you. Globally, that number is about 13%. So here in the US, we are doing much better. The percent disengaged and highly disengaged makes up 70% of our workforce. So let's put this in a different perspective. If your business or your organization was a ship, what that means is that 30% of your employees are actually rowing the boat. That 52%, well, they're along for the ride and they're enjoying the view, probably checking Facebook, maybe taking some pictures. And then you've got that 18% who are actually sabotaging the mission of the organization. They literally are like dragging an anchor. I'm pretty sure if you think about it right now, you can put names to each of these categories just from within your organization. Unfortunately, what's happening, because we're working remote, a lot more people are shifting into the red. Again, there's just too many distractions. It's too easy to postpone things. We're not feeling that connection. We're not feeling valued. There's a very real cost associated with this. We know that about 34% of the salary for the disengaged and highly disengaged employees is wasted. So I want to put some numbers to that. If you have an organization with 50 people, 18% of them are highly disengaged. That means 9 out of your 50 employees are in the red zone. If their average salary is $50,000, and we take 34% of that, that's $17,000 a year being wasted. If you do the math on that, 9 employees at $17,000, wow, $153,000. That could make a huge impact on any size organization. So not only are we dealing with people who aren't happy, but this is having an impact on your bottom line. So how do we change that? We have to look at how people are motivated. And there are neurological motivators. And nothing surprising here. Pain and pleasure are very motivating for all of us. Something hurts, I'm going to stop doing it. If I eat that piece of dark chocolate, I'm going to be very happy. So I'm probably going to eat another one tomorrow, maybe again later today. Reward and punishment very much motivate us as human beings. Those bottom ones, self-direction and self-improvement, those are important to people, to know that I can do better, that I can make myself better. And then the transcendent purpose. Why am I here? When I know that I'm contributing to my company, to my family, to my community, that's important to me. And when I have that feeling, I'm going to want to do more. So that's one way we motivate people. We all have the same core human needs. We all are looking for love. We all need a little bit of variety. Once you finish that whole Netflix series, you're looking for a new one. We all want to grow in our jobs, in our families, in our whatever organizations we're connected with. Right now, certainty is an issue for a lot of people. We want to know what's going to happen next. And as some of you mentioned in the chat, people want to know that they're significant, that they're important, and that their contributions matter. We also know how we as human beings learn. We learn through talking with other people. We certainly learn from our experiences. And we really learn when we teach others. So you notice what's not on here. There's no memorization, there's no note-taking. We learn through human interaction. That's how it sticks with us. And that's why a lot of traditional training, where you go to a seminar for a day and you get all these great ideas, and then you come back and nothing has changed in your organization, and you can't change the organization with all these great ideas, that's not a good way to move your organization forward. There are only two ways to really change behaviors. I'm not sure that hypnosis is the most effective. It certainly isn't going to be in my organization. I don't think we can scan people for temperature and then hypnotize them as they walk in the door every day. So the other method is probably going to be more effective for most of us. Repetition and reprogramming is how you change behavior. Get people to shift their mindset and then give them opportunities to do the new behaviors over and over again. Just like your body needs your brain and your heart to function, so does your organization. So we divide the organization into these two areas because it's easy, not only easy to understand, but it's easy to see the interaction. So on the brain side, that's usually pretty strong, and that's where we traditionally focus because we can understand that. I need to have an employee manual. I need to have a policy on how we acquire office furniture or how we answer the phone, how we treat a customer. All of those things are pretty easy to put in place. We like to build process. We like to have systems. We like to know how things work. So most organizations do a really good job on the brain side. What we're not as good at is the heart side, which a lot of people call the soft skills. But having strong relationships and great communication is just as important as having that policy manual. Especially now, people want to know what's going on. They want to know what the vision of the organization is. They're really looking towards leadership. And not all leaders are at the head of your company. You have leaders throughout your organization. That frontline cashier can be a leader. The person loading the truck can be a leader. So we want to really encourage leadership at all levels of the organization. We know that companies who focus on these heart issues over a 10-year period are 8 times more successful than companies who only focus on the brain side. Kind of a startling number. So how do you get there? First of all, you have to look at where your organization is right now. You've got to see take the temperature of your organization is a great way to put it. Are people connected right now? And then you get their buy-in of, okay, as an organization, this is what we want to do. When people are aligned, they start making meaningful connections with each other, within their department, and then with the other departments that they interact with, and finally with the entire organization, and that extends out to your customers. Once everybody is united, it's very easy to turn the negatives to positive. Instead of seeing the problems, seeing the solutions. The next step is when your employees are truly engaged. That's when you go from positive to high performance. That's when you have everybody contributing. And the way your organization is going to grow is when everybody feels so good about the company and about themselves and about what they are contributing that they really continue to contribute more. Tripping over my words here. So habits need to change. Reading a book might inspire you, but it's not going to change your behavior. So the very first step is to do an evaluation, find out how many people are rowing and how many people are trying to sink the ship. And at the end, I'll tell you how I can help you do that. But for right now, I want everybody to answer one simple question. And if we were in a room, I would be having everybody put this on Post-it notes, but logistically, that's not going to happen right now. The question is, what do you think right now, what needs to change in your business to get you to improve and become #1 in your industry? What are 1 or 2 things you need to change right now that would make your business #1? So in the interest of time, what I did was consolidate the answers I've gotten from my live workshops on this. So on the left side, you'll see innovation, and the ×2 means that 2 people put innovation up on the board. And when we get all these ideas of what do we need to change, excuse me, we sort them into the brain and the heart side. Every time I've done this, communication always comes up multiple times from multiple people. Recognition, again, multiple people will say, we need more recognition of what we do and what our employees are doing. Accountability, empowerment, you see fun on there. All these different things are what will truly make your organization #1. So what are a few ways to get there? How can we fix communication? How do we motivate the team? Well, the first thing is to connect with your organization, connect your people. And that starts the communication. So when you're talking to someone you don't know, an easy way to get to know them is ask what their favorites are. What kind of ice cream flavor do they like? What's their favorite animal? If they were an animal, what would they be? All of these things can be conversation starters. I love some of these suggestions. And by the way, I did own a turtle many, many, many years ago. If you ask someone, have you ever lost your cell phone? And they say no, I'm very jealous of that person. I'd like to meet them. And I love this one too. This is a great way to get to know someone. Get a dice, roll it. And if it comes up number 3, ask, if you won $1 million, what would you do with it? And that's a great way to really see what's important to somebody or what their dreams are. And once you make those connections, then you're going to change your whole relationship with that person. And the next time you have to interact with them professionally, you're going to do it as a friend. So here is my challenge for each one of you. Today or tomorrow, I want you to call someone that you only know by name, somebody in your organization that you've interacted with, you know who they are, but you don't know much about them. And I want you to talk to them for 10 minutes and get to know them, let them get to know you. This may be a little uncomfortable the first time you do it anyway. And then challenge other people in your organization to do the same thing. We use what we call a group activation system. We know that to create sustainable change, the answers are already in the room. So we tap into the experts, your staff. That's why I ask people, what needs to change in your organization? And then that's what we focus on. Because the solution that I have for company A may not work for company B. It's got to be done for your organization, for your team. Trying to allow some time for questions here. So in our program, we use 12 engagement keys, and I don't have time to go into all of them, but one of them is leadership acts. And a leadership act is something outside of your normal job duties that promotes the heart side of the business. So you might want to promote communication, leadership, compassion. In a program I'm currently running, one of the leadership acts was a supervisor brought in toilet paper and paper towels, and he keeps it in his office, and any employee that needed it was able to come in and just ask. So he took it upon himself to just have that supply for people. That's showing leadership. Another person has put together small snack packs for everybody and attached a little note that says thank you. And she just hands them out, going way beyond her department. She's actually reaching out to other people in the organization. It's just a way to make people feel valued and special. One of the other keys is rewards and recognition. So I want you to try this one in your organization right now. Each week, ask a team member to give recognition to another team member. Have them nominate somebody and say why they're nominating that person. Oh, John took the time to help me with this spreadsheet. I want to recognize John this week. Very little things, doesn't have to be a big grand gesture. The point is, it teaches people to look for good. This is also a way for you to see who's not participating and maybe give them some coaching, reach out to them, make sure that they are engaged with you and with your team. Not only can you do this with your team, but I would encourage you once a week to do this with your family. It will have a powerful impact. So your company needs to maintain its fitness. That is both the brain and the heart. And when you do that, you are going to be able to retain and attract top employees. And your employees are going to be successful, not just for your organization, but for themselves. Our leaders look a lot different today than they did even a few years ago. Leaders are always on stage. Your team listens to the tone of your voice. They watch your expression on Zoom calls, and they use that information to influence what they think and how they feel about things. So always show your team that you care. Communicate extensively, live your values every day, and use them to guide your decisions and how you treat your team. That's where employee engagement starts. It starts with you. And it doesn't matter if you're the manager or not. It still comes back to what you do and how you behave. So I talked about that evaluation. And what I want to offer to you today is a free employee engagement survey. And it takes less than 10 minutes for each employee to do. And then I will meet with you for an hour to give you the results. I want to allow some time for questions here. So, and if you're also interested in a 90-minute leadership planning survey or session, I will also, right now, doing all of these complimentary to get everybody through COVID-19 as successfully as possible. So now we have a few minutes. I want to open it up for any questions that anyone might have. And we have the sound of crickets. While you're thinking of your questions, I just want to point out the Engage and Grow logo. It's an origami bird. And the reason it's origami is if you've ever tried to do origami, every time you fold the paper, you transform it. And that's what employee engagement can do. Every step you take and every employee that you engage changes the organization. So I see a couple things pop up. I'm not sure if I can, let's see. So there's a question on the recorded session, and I'm going to let Matt address that. Let's see. So the question is on how to help build accountability. The accountability really needs to come from the team. It can come from management, but it's far more effective if you're accountable to your peers. And one of the ways that I suggest you do that is have each person say what it is they're going to do, and then make sure that they have an accountability partner that may not be their manager. So have people check in with each other. How are you doing on that report? Do you need help? If it comes from their peers, it really can make a big difference because nobody wants to let the team down. So my chat box is very, very small on the screen. So,
Sandy, we have somebody asking if you could show the conversation starter and bingo type card again.
Absolutely, happy to do that. All right, let me close this and okay. So the first one, the conversation starters, were just some topics. If you want to screenshot that or take a picture
and
of
again,
your screen.
I put in the chat in case people didn't see it. We're going to post the your slides. I'm assuming, I think we talked about it, that we're going to post these PowerPoint slides to our website, LouisvilleWorksiteWellness.org, in the next couple of days. And same thing actually with the audio recording of the presentation this morning.
Yeah. Okay, so the next one are the definitely not traditional get to know you questions. And again, if we were live, I would love to ask how many people had ever ditched a class. See who admits to it. Is that enough time on that one? And then this is the dice one. So yeah, I love number 5. I think we all want to believe in magic at some point, especially with what we've been through these last few months. Well, I've thrown
I'll tell you what. I was going to say, Sandy, if you want, I mean, if anybody else has any questions and you want to add them to the chat box, I guess I could open up the microphones, but again, since I haven't had it all the whole time, I'm concerned if somebody doesn't realize it's on, that might be a embarrassment. But
I am happy to stay on for a few minutes. I really covered a lot of material, I know, in a very short amount of time. So I'm happy to take questions, and feel free to reach out to me individually as well. And if you want to do that employee engagement survey, love to get that to your organization.
well, so I'll tell you what, if you do have questions of Sandy, obviously she had posted her, she put her email up there prior, and maybe if you want to put that up there just for a minute, we'll leave it up. But beyond that, it looks like we may have, let's see, can you provide your information in the chat? Yes. Okay.
In the chat.
Yeah, I'll put it in here for you, Sandy.
Okay.
So there's her email address. I just put in the chat. So anyway, well, I'll just say this. So we thank. Let's see. Do we think we'll do these virtually moving forward? Well, let's put it this way. At least, you know, I think probably next month we probably still would. I'm not certain. We'll have a discussion about that and decide and let everybody know. But even if we don't do it totally virtually, if we were to do a live meeting, I think we may try to find some way to Facebook Live it or something. Go, you know, stream it, because we certainly get a lot of attendees. So anyway, thanks for all the comments again, Sandy. We really appreciate you taking the time sharing your insights with us. Very insightful, very helpful. And we hope everybody else has a great rest of the week. And hopefully the rain's over for a little bit. We can go out and enjoy the outside again.
I hope so. Well, thanks so much for having me. And if there's any way I could get a copy of the chat, I would love to capture those suggestions that people had, and when they talked about how people can be valued or who's disengaged.
I should be able to send it to you. I'd be happy to. So, so I'll tell you what, with that, I'll tell you what, we'll just sign off. Sandy, thanks so much. Thanks to everybody for attending. And again, hope you have a great rest of the week.
Thank you, everybody.